This is a podcast by WellHouse Church, where certain things are fixed, the essentials of faith, and the best beer is served on tap, while everything else is just a matter of perspective. What's cracking, beer lovers?
What up?
How are we doing? It is a beautiful Saturday, college football day. Baylor's playing K-State. I'm currently winning at the half. Quite excited.
It's a good day.
It is a good day.
It's a good day.
But I love to drink beer on college football Saturday. So I want to drink some beer.
Let's do it.
So,
and actually, before we get started, we have to give a shout out.
Yeah, I was about to do that.
To our parents who are huge supporters of all things WellHouse Church. And they found a 12-pack of beer from a brewery. And who
called
is
Clown Shoes.
Clown Shoe Brewing, yeah. And it's the 12 days of Christmas. And so we have 12 Christmas-themed beers, or not themed, but Christmas-packaged beers from Clown Shoe Brewing Company, which is in... Where are they? They don't say where they're at on the can.
I don't know.
Oh, in Boston, Massachusetts.
So we're going to keep the beers that we're going to do secret, and y'all can watch the episodes and figure out what beers we're doing. But I think that this is funny. Did you find it where it said on the can?
Yeah, Boston.
Yeah. So, founded in December 2009, Clown Shoes is the result of a joke, spite, and a deep passion for craft beer. Naturally, we dislike clowns, but find Clown Shoes hilarious. They remind us of humor in life and to be humble. If you have made it this far, thank you for reading the bottom of this package.
It really, like, the branding on their stuff is really good.
It really is. So we thought, or Mom and Dad thought, this would be great for Advent.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
here we are.
So this is, unfortunately, the second week of Advent by the time. No, the first week of Advent.
First week.
This is the first week of Advent, so it's perfect.
We will have one extra beer, two extra beers after Advent's over. It will just roll into the next season, but it's okay.
Yep. So what do you got?
I'm very excited about this. The Galactic Cake Double India Pale Ale. I'm really excited because you guys know I love doubles. But it says here, sorry, hold on. It's 9%.
Drink responsibly, kids.
Drink responsibly. Hold on. Our mission to produce beer without pretension while being free and a little crazy.
Love it. Love it.
I don't think I've ever seen a brewery put a mission statement on a can before.
I haven't either, but it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so here for it. So this is what they say. Galactica infiltrated the base of the space cake fleet. Then she destroyed it. Now she's on her merry way, and we bow before her hoppy heroine, and intergalactic protector. Galactic Cake is the result of one of our more famous mess-ups from the past, where we accidentally combined the recipe of space cake with the hops from Galactica. Intentional? No. Delicious? Yes. We have a story like that.
Yeah.
Featuring a base brew of space cake dry hopped with the galaxy hop focused blend that goes into Galactica. Galactic Cake combines Clown Shoe's signature double IPAs for a bevy of tropical citrus aromas and notes of both pine and citrus. We always try to learn from our mistakes. This time around, we learned Some mistakes are best shared with others.
Nice. Love it.
I love it. I love it.
Yours has a story on the can that mine doesn't have.
Oh, interesting.
Mine doesn't have like a detailed account of it the way that yours does. Mine is called The Exorcist. And Clayton and I actually had to do rock, paper, scissors over this one because we both wanted it. Your boy got it. And I am super excited because it is a dry hop stout.
That is something that I've never heard of before.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about it. So let's get into it, buddy.
What's your ABV?
Oh, yeah, 8%.
Yeah, drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly,
Cheers.
kids. Cheers. Oh.
Whoa.
This is kind of like the black IPA, man. I can already smell it.
Really?
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, I really like this too. Ooh, I really like this. So walk me through yours. I'm so flipping curious.
It is definitely still like stout and very typical, prototypical stout kind of flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very classic, just stout flavors. And interestingly enough, not a milk stout.
Right.
Just like a standard traditional stout.
Like an extra stout type deal.
Yeah, that clearly has a pungent hop flavor. I think it's really good. 7.8.
7.8?
Yeah, I think it's really good. It does remind me a lot of the black IPA. It's just that the hop flavors are not quite as forward in this one as they were in ours.
Yeah. So the beer in the can, I think, is fantastic. It's a very standard kind of double.
Okay.
But I don't know what the hop blend is in this.
Yeah.
But
They're not going to tell you that.
I do know that the tasting notes that they put in the story on the back. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It's exactly what they say it is.
Yeah, tropical citrus aromas, pine and citrus on the palate, like, yeah, all of those things.
And I'm usually here for the pine flavor in IPAs.
Me too. I don't like it in whiskey so much.
Yeah.
But
agree 100%.
in beer, I really like it.
Yep.
It is also really balanced for me. Because the pine introduces some sweetness, combined with the malt that's already in it.
Yeah.
And it just balances everything out really well. So the beer in the can is really good, but I think a lot of what is drawing me to this beer is the branding.
The branding and the labels are really cool.
I'm a nerd. I love lore.
Yeah.
I love lore.
Yeah.
And
everything is lore.
About this beer, flipping everything.
Yep.
Like they even wrote you a story.
Yep. Well, did you see my can? I think everything about the label, everything about the brewery is that they're about lore.
Yeah. And
even the name Clown.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I love it. So I'm sitting probably 8-0.
Oh, okay.
Between the beer actually being good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's standard, but it's good.
Yeah.
And the lore that they've set up with this beer, it just makes it fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, it's just, I love it.
Love it.
Hey, Clown Shoes, you want to do a thing? Yeah, no, I'm very about this.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with this first go with this brewery.
Okay. So let's talk some theology.
So today we're going to cover the major dilemma That is the omniscience of God and free will.
Okay.
So why is free will important?
Because it gives us the ability to choose to follow God.
Okay, that's one reason it's important. There's another theological reason that free will is very important.
Okay.
Because if free will is not a thing, then God becomes the author of evil. Because he forced Adam and Eve
To sin. Yeah.
That's a major qualm with God. So free will must exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem is, it is a problem. Even conservatives would say this is a problem. How does free will actually work if God knows everything? If God knows everything and is all-powerful, is anything we actually do free will at all?
No.
There are conservatives who would say yes.
Yeah.
Because just because God knows the decision you're going to make doesn't mean he made you do it. He just knows that you were going to make that decision. Now, the alternative argument to that is, well, if God knew I was going to make that decision, that was a bad decision, why didn't God come in and put some kind of interference or run some
interference there.
Damage mitigation here. Mm-hmm. So there's that piece. And the other thing I'll say is historically, throughout the tradition of the church, it has been largely universally accepted that God is omniscient, that God knows everything. The thing that has changed, and even Aquinas is having this conversation in the Summa. Mm-hmm. Does God, as he sits today, is he all-knowing? Or is God capable of all-knowingness and has chosen to limit his knowledge for the purpose of free will? We have spent so many weeks arguing that very point, maybe to a little bit more of an extreme than Aquinas would take it, but that's literally the conversation we've been having. What is interesting is that even through the tradition, and Anselm, right? Anselm's the one that kind of comes up with the three omnis and why you need those for God, the kind of ontological existence of God argument there. But in all of that, the omniscience of God is very important. Yeah. Everyone throughout history has talked about this concept. So this is one of those moments where I would say hey, we can't fully buck tradition here, because every major movement of history of the church, the activity of God, has said God is omniscient. God is all-knowing. So we at WellHouse Church will say the same thing. God is all-knowing.
Yep.
The question is, what way is God interacting with the all piece? Because, and this is a dilemma that Aquinas actually brings up when he's having this conversation. What Aquinas brings up is actually that the problem's not with God being all-knowing. The problem is actually with our understanding of the word all. Because that implies that God can do anything. Mm-hmm. But God can't do anything. What are some things that God is incapable of doing?
Sinning.
Done. So all is actually not a good metaphor.
Right.
Because God is not capable of doing anything.
He's not capable of producing death.
Right.
Well, hold on.
Yeah, I was thinking, wait. No. Hang on. Say what you said again, and I know what you're trying to say.
He can't create experiences of death, but I don't, as soon as it left my mouth.
I think I would agree with that statement. God is incapable of creating experiences of death.
But then that brings into other questions, but those are different questions.
100%. Now, I will also say in this conversation, the only reason that I'm okay with those other questions being unanswered is because I watched a God who is the author and sustainer of life take on death in order to forgive.
Right.
I can deal with a lot of doubts and questions because of that.
Because of Jesus. And Jesus
because of Jesus. Yeah. Literally, because of Jesus. So the omniscience piece is definitely important and definitely key. But it's also a struggle because our own metaphorical concept of all is potentially damaging to what it communicates about God. So this is the classic like C.S. Lewis argument where a line trying to explain a cube.
Yeah.
Which makes it very difficult.
Right.
In God knowing everything, if God actually does know everything as he sits today, do you feel like, as a well-informed and thoughtful person, do you feel like that means you have free will?
Yes.
And okay, so walk it out. Why does God knowing everything and being all-powerful mean that you have free will?
Well, hold on. We need to back up because I'm still deconstructing the idea of God knowing everything and God being all-powerful, right?
Okay. Well, I think, so first of all, I would say, I do think you have to say that God is those things.
Right.
The question is
his self-limiting.
Yeah, how much of it is actually available to him today?
I think we have the free will because of God's self-limitation.
Okay, got it. So
currently that's where I'm sitting.
Okay, so everyone would say that.
Yeah.
The question is, how much free will am I willing to give someone rather than, the question really is, to what degree am I willing to limit God so that free will becomes more of a thing? So, like even hyper-Calvinists would say that God has limited a little bit of his knowledge to give the choice. Like you still got to make that choice. Now, when you make it is the question,
right?
And God knows when you're going to do it, but you are elect. You still like you are going to do it, but you still have a part to play in your regeneration,
right?
So they would still say that God has limited his omniscience to make space for you to have that free will choice moment,
right?
Even they would still say, I think there are some like really, really hyper Calvinists that may not say that, but most all like middle of the road Reformed theologians and people would say that. But then you have the other side where you can limit God much more, which is probably closer to where I am. I think I've limited God a lot more in my theological construct, which is to say that God has...
Word it this way, maybe. You believe that God limits himself more. You don't limit God. But
in my theology,
God,
I have limited God more than other people have. Not in that I control it, but in the way that God exists in my theological construct, he is more limited than in other systems.
I could see there being some confusion there based on that statement.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think anybody that listens to this podcast on the reg would ever think that I think so highly of myself that I can limit God.
I'm thinking about the one-off listener that's this dude thinks he controls God.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. So you have this varying degree here. And it all comes down to God's omniscience, his knowledge, and how that impacts free will. Because I remember growing up, I literally had an image of God that God was the master puppeteer, that he's up there literally controlling every decision that every person makes every single day. That doesn't feel much like free will. Mm-hmm. That actually feels like whatever the opposite of free will is, like determinism. And actually, I wish I could remember it. Our friend Ben Blackwell, he does a great, actually, I'm going to find it. I'm going to link it in the show notes. He does a great explanation of the difference between free will and determinism based upon Forrest Gump. And like things that happen in the movie Forrest Gump. And it's on his YouTube channel. I'm going to go find it. I'll link it. It's worth watching. But basically it is that question. Is a more deterministic view or a more free will view? And it's impossible to stay perfectly in the middle, right? You're always going to favor one side or the other. And which side you favor, actually, if you didn't know it, is realistically, it's speaking to how you feel about God's knowledge. Because if God knows everything, he's not actually giving a ton of free will. Now, there is the one simple caveat that there is a small, there's probably a small population of the Christian faith that would do a really good job of riding this line. And they would say, yeah, God does know everything. Yeah. But God also doesn't interfere in the way that we would think an all-knowing God would interfere. I think very few people hold that line well, but I do think there are some that do. For the average person, you're gonna wrestle with this question, and you're gonna have to pick, right, at some point. And I'll be honest, the Bible's actually not super helpful on this issue because there are texts on both sides of it. There are very deterministic texts. There are very free will oriented texts. Like this is why some of the major like divisions in denominations exist, is because of this question. This is actually quite a big question. And so for each individual person at WellHouse Church, you're going to have to ask this question. And there's going to be a sliding scale. There's going to be a spectrum. And this is the deterministic side, and this is the free will side. And you're going to fall somewhere on this spectrum. And wherever it is, it's okay. I will say, I do think that in order to be faithful to the creeds, you must say that God is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. I don't think that the creeds take away or exclude self-limitation. So you can choose to limit God up to a certain extent and still faithfully be within the creeds. But you're going to have to make this determination. And for me, I didn't like the image of God, the puppet master. Yeah. That was an unhelpful metaphor of God for me. I needed something else. And part of it is just a question of what do you need God to be? I feel like I ask people that question all the time as people are deconstructing and wrestling with these questions and trying to figure out what they're doing. I feel like I naturally end up asking this question so many times. What do you need God to be? because that's going to really dictate where you end up on this.
Yeah.
I didn't need God to be the great puppeteer. I needed Jesus in my passenger seat.
Right.
I needed to know that I needed that intimate relationship and that experience with Jesus more than I needed God up there controlling everything.
And like we talked about last week, that more deterministic view, it brings a lot of comfort.
It does. It absolutely does.
And in the same way, putting God as more immanent and more self-limiting so that he can be in your passenger seat.
Yep.
Also brings comfort, but in a different way.
Yeah, so that's the deal. I think, and that's the thing that I would want everybody to know is like when you start talking about God and giving these different constructs, what I think everybody's afraid of is like you're just going to abandon any kind of ethic. Mm-hmm. And that's not it at all, actually.
No. Yeah.
We're all actually trying to make the faith work.
Yeah.
And we're trying to make it work in a way that we can be faithful to it.
Right.
And
that goes back to experience and tradition.
Well, and comfort.
Right.
There are some,
I would say is a part of experience, your comfort level.
It's 100% a part of your experience. There are going to be experiences of people in one life or another in which they feel comfortable in certain settings where other people would not.
Yeah.
This is no different for faith.
Right.
There are people who feel more comfortable in an image of God, the great puppeteer. Mm-hmm. Great. More power to you.
Yeah.
100%. Attaboy. Let's go. Same team. Mm-hmm. There are others like me who do not feel as comfortable in that kind of construct. No. And maybe comfort isn't the best word here, but it's because like that view for me actually puts God on the hook for a lot of things that call into question some things of God that I must have. And so I can't do it.
Which plays into your comfort about understanding the goodness and
Correct.
ethic of God.
Correct. So I have made something, I've shifted it so that it's a faith construct that I'm comfortable and want to be in and invite people into.
Yep.
We're literally both after the same goal, a faith that brings and gives life to us in the name of Jesus. We're just getting there two different ways.